Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Microsoft Spotlight podcast. We are on episode 52 now, I believe. So we are doing okay. It's the first episode of 2023, I believe. Maybe the second one. It's the first recording of 2023 for the podcast. So a brand new start. And today we have got a fabulous guest with us. Friend of mine, acquaintance of mine, fellow pub quiz team member, two-time pub quiz winner.
Yeah.
Anna, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me. I didn't
It's good
remember
to finally
we
have
were.
you on.
Yeah, thank you very much. I didn't remember we were part of the winning team both years. That's lovely.
Scottish Summit and South Coast Summit, two times in a row. You know,
Exactly.
we don't like to brag, but what we do like to do, we like to win pub quizzes. It's just kind of what we do.
It's part of our skills. I mean, that's it.
I think, and every time we talk about the pub quiz here, I think Andrew gets a bit sad. Like he hasn't managed to partake or win one yet, but we are fully unbeaten. And yeah.
Yeah, the thing is that everyone wants to take part in of our group. It's close. It's a very close team, so we're not that open to new joiners. So
no, I think we had Rue join us for the last one. The team expanded a bit. You know, we carefully pick the right members for the team because
exactly, that's a very good way of putting it.
We've got to have a good balance across all areas, and I think the team is just truly remarkable. And I think we could talk about the pub quiz team for the whole hour. So I think we should quickly move on.
Yeah.
So Anna, can you just give us a bit of like a background on yourself, kind of what you do at the moment, and we'll kind of go from there.
Okay, cool. So I'm Inés Urrutia. Sometimes I want to make things a bit more complex, so I introduce myself as Inés Urrutia de Souza, and that's the moment where no one can say my name, but that's fine. I'm used to that, so Ana, it's great. I'm originally from South America. I was born in Uruguay. It's a tiny country between Argentina and Brazil. We're just 3 million people. And because it's such a tiny country, there are not big opportunities of growing. Actually, my role and maybe your role doesn't exist in the country. So I try to pursue career ambitions, and I moved to several different countries. And now I live in Spain. I'm a Dynamic 365 HR practice lead. I'm an MVP. And that's pretty much who I am. I don't know if you have like any in-depth question about that, anything that I just told you.
I think we'll get there in time.
Okay.
We'll get there in time. But yeah, it's just good to. And you notice, I never introduced you by your full name because I could not do that pronunciation as well as that you did. I'm sticking with Anna.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm used to, so no worries. Even people in Spain sometimes they don't remember, so yeah, don't worry.
So in terms of kind of like your career so far and let's build up to kind of how you got to what you're doing at the moment. In terms of your school and your career prospects, what did you want to kind of do when you was in school? What was the goal and the ambition for yourself?
So if we speak about school, like when I was a kid, I wanted to be pretty much everything. But I did want it to be anthropologist. That's the word, anthropologist.
Okay.
And then later in life, I struggled a bit in high school. I have some challenges, and I ended up in my very late 22 years old, deciding that I wanted to study psychology. So I started psychology, and during that career, during the academic years, I realized that human resources was something that I loved. And my ambition, like the role that I wanted to pursue, was kind of an HR director or something like that. And that's where everything started. But everything changed a lot throughout the years.
Yeah, I mean, my wife works in HR, so I'm kind of in the UK. I know kind of the qualifications and the route that you take into HR and HR director, etc. But you've kind of gone a different path, and really, I don't see many people out there doing kind of what you do, and that's kind of be a technology evangelist as what in that HR space, and it's something that's actually quite driven quite an interest in myself. To be fair, like your path and what you do, because even speaking internally at CDW, I've been talking about the Viva space and the dynamic space, and how it's not just IT people that we speak to now. It could be people in HR, it could be people in finance, because the IT audience, as I call it, is growing. So how did you kind of like start doing that HR piece? Did you go in and like HR advisor roles? How did you start off in that side of things?
Okay, so I worked during my degree, and after it, I was working in human resources, like an HRBP, and doing like standard HR stuff. And at some point, I started working in a Microsoft partner as an HRBP. So I was doing like the hiring, employee development, and everything, onboarding, and so on. And the CEO of the company, he noticed that I was anxious, and I wanted to sort things and solve things, and he noticed that I was very keen to use Dynamics for HR at the moment. And that was a while back. It had another name, but we're not going to mention that, and it's always a problem. So actually he told me, like, if you're happy with HR and working here, that's fine, but I think you should consider moving into like technology role, helping HR people to work a bit smarter. So actually it was quite interesting. I was hired by that company only for a maternity leave, and then they extended my contract and they helped me relocate into Peru. So it was fantastic. And that was the moment where I transitioned. It was a bit difficult because I had no idea how to manage a team, and I had a team of people like distributed throughout America, and they were really technical, and I wasn't, so it was quite a thing. But it was a learning path, and now I'm really comfortable. And actually what you said, it's quite interesting, because what I tried to do, I was really focused on Dynamics for HR, and all my content was related to that, my sessions, everything. And actually I started like exchanging things and sharing stuff with Zoe and Kevin, and we realized like there is much more than actually the products that we're experts on. And that's when my mindset, I tried to open up, and now I'm bringing like pretty much everything I find and trying to present that to to human resources people. So that's pretty much my journey in what I do now.
Yeah, that's cool. So in terms of, let's rewind back to halfway through what you were saying. You started doing more technology stuff, more enabling HR co-workers, employees, etc. What made you then kind of want to start working within the Microsoft community? Kind of what stage did you go, oh, there's something in here, I want to start sharing this, not only within the company that I'm working for, but for the whole community?
Yeah, so I think that like a lot of people in our community, what happened for me was that during pandemic, I was living in Peru and I was alone. Like my family was in Uruguay and I was in Peru, and it was quite difficult. I couldn't get back. So I decided that I was going to like create a web page and start creating content. And I created my webpage in April 2019. That was the year we had COVID. No, 2020.
No, 2020, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I started creating content. And at the end of April that year, I presented a session. And that's when I realized that I was loving the exchange in creating content and seeing how the content that I was creating, it was impacting the people, or they're using it. So that is pretty much when I decided to start engaging with the community.
Awesome. And how long roughly was it then that you got your MVP award?
Sorry, can you elaborate again?
How long after that was it then you started going down the MVP path and getting your MVP?
Yeah, so after creating the blog in April 2020, I started. So Malin Martens, I don't know if you know her, but she's like my mentor.
Okay. She was on our last episode.
Yes, exactly. She was my mentor. So she was the person that I reached out in my first technology job when I had no idea how to do things. So she was mentoring me and trying to like see if I was MVP material or not. And apparently I am. So she guided me through the process. And I think I got nominated sometime between September and October that year. And I got my award on December. So it was interesting, a very it was a fast MVP award, I think, but it was because I worked a lot to it. So yeah, that's how it went.
Yeah, and especially I don't think there's many people, well, from what I've seen anyway, that's doing kind of like the evangelism that you're doing either. So you get a lot of people doing a lot of different areas within the Microsoft ecosystem, obviously, and I don't see many people kind of doing kind of what you're doing. As I said earlier, like the whole HR piece and stuff is I find it particularly interesting just because my wife works in HR, so it's I do try to keep note on stuff that side, even though I don't really do too much with that. But something I kind of wanted to talk to you about as well was just your social media following. So especially on LinkedIn, you recently hit 10,000 followers on LinkedIn, and we spoke briefly before we just hit record in this podcast. But let's kind of elaborate on what we're speaking about. LinkedIn, in my opinion, is like a really, really good way of creating content and giving and connecting to peers within the community and the wider community as well. What was it that kind of drew you to LinkedIn in the first place and start to grow and to create content and grow yourself on there?
I think that it's the social media or whatever platform, I don't know how you call it, that I spend most of my time in. So instead of Instagram or Twitter, I try to invest time there because I think that the connections and the content that you share, it actually pays back in a good way. So what I try to do is try to speak to people and connect with people. And I know that, I mean, if you have a doubt or if you have a question, there's a group for that. There's people for that. You can easily find anyone. And I feel like it's a place where I feel comfortable posting. And at the beginning, when I started in the community, I was a bit insecure on what to share and how to share it. But I learned that it's a quite an accepting community, that everyone like embraces your content. You always have haters, but luckily that didn't happen to me yet. And it's a very supportive community. Like people is embracing your achievements and trying to make you feel happy with that. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, I think it's true, because I think if you go onto Twitter and YouTube and stuff, like I think the problem with Twitter and YouTube is you can be faceless. So there's not much accountability for stuff that you write on YouTube. If you comment on, you could be a troll. We've had people on this podcast before who've tried to be a streamer on Twitch, and they're just getting like lots of abuse and stuff like that. I mean, Christine Kolajetsky, someone we both know on YouTube and Twitter, if you see some of the comments that she gets, it's unacceptable. Yeah. But I think LinkedIn gives you that little bit of accountability, because you basically have to be a real person on there. And if you was to write anything horrible or nasty on there, then it's going to come back to you pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that you're a person writing the thing, it gives you credibility, and it's also like supporting kind of your journey. I think that the rest of the platforms, they're not as secure. They're not as secure as LinkedIn, because actually, if I want to be a hater with you, my boss is going to see that I'm bullying you. And, and maybe the future company I want to work with is seeing that I'm behaving not properly. So you need to be much more careful in that specific social network.
Yeah, 100%. It's it's the lack of accountability. I've said it quite a few times on this podcast, is the lack of accountability and the lack of verification of person on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, etc. It breeds the worst in people, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
question I've got for you is like, what are the top 2 tips you would give to somebody, say like me, who wants to grow their LinkedIn and be a content creator within LinkedIn?
Okay. So I think you already have this, but for the person for the audience listening to the podcast, my first recommendation is if you want to create content, switch your account to content creator. That is going to give you much wider. So people actually is going to, if they look for a hashtag, they will find you, and yeah, that's pretty cool. Second, I try once in a while, I try to find people that I want to engage with. And actually, for example, I am trying, and this happens to me a lot, I'm trying to have a bit more of, I don't know, Microsoft technical specialist, for like to say something. So I try to find people through the LinkedIn search, and try to find people that is working with throughout the HR environment, and connect with them. And some of them are very open and they're passionate, so you can share and exchange. And some of them are quite quiet. But yeah, just like reach. If you want to create content, you should also be active on connecting with people. It's not something that happens from one day to the other. And the other thing that I would recommend is, if you're creating content, the best thing to do while creating that content is to make sure that you're engaging with your audience. So if you post your blog and you just say like, hey, this is my blog, like no one is going to actually feel appealed to that. So if you have a call to action or a question or a poll or something, like create content that sometimes is not related to the things that you're writing, but it makes your audience grow a bit. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what I try to do.
So what's the relevance of LinkedIn SSI? So I think the LinkedIn SSI is this is it the social skilling index score? So do you know kind of like what's the relevance of that and getting your score and trying to build up on your score? So I hear a lot of people talk about it. But in terms of, does that help you with impressions? Does that help you with kind of like your scope and stuff like that?
Have you tried already? I mean, do you know your score?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's 70, yeah.
Oh, it's very good. Let me see mine. I have no idea, but I think that is good because it helps you, like, it's divided, I think that in 4 different, like, parts. And the thing that, get your score, let's see. I have 76. 67.
Yeah, so yours quite
67.
High,
67. No. I'm 3
67?
points on, yeah. I don't know.
That's mad.
Maybe it's because of my industry and yours might be different. So I think that it's interesting because based on the 4 components that you have, you can, for example, I have 25 on building relationships. That is something that I know I do pretty much. But for example, I have a 16 in engage with insights. And that means that there's a lot of space there for me to start like actually taking care of that. On the other side, besides this score, I honestly believe that I'm not doing that bad. So I will see if I add.
My one that's quite low is find the right people. So from what I understand, with Find the Right People is more about kind of engaging with like when you add somebody and stuff like that, is engaging and making sure that you're kind of like you are adding people that you can chat with and collaborate with.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, I think it's quite nice because you can see where you're lacking. I don't really know if everyone gets to 100%. And actually, one thing that I think I used to work in like business development back in the day, and we used this to compare ourselves with the rest of the business developers. And I think that for that role is a bit more important because it's oriented, because it's sales navigator is oriented to sales, and I don't know if I want to sell through my LinkedIn. So I don't know. I tried not to feel bad about my number.
No, it's a relatively high number, to be fair. Like I think there's only one or a couple of people I know with like in the 70s, scored 70s anyway. So yeah, it's still quite a high number from talking to other people that I know and stuff anyway. So don't feel bad. It's still good.
Yeah. I mean, when I was a lecturer for a while in a institution here, like in a business school, and one of the courses that the lectures that I gave was about LinkedIn. And the best thing you could do with people between 20 and 25 years old that they are not related to LinkedIn is to give them to calculate their SSI, and they were like 7, 15, that sort of numbers. So for that people, it gives them like a lot of like inspiration, I believe, to work towards a better ranking.
Yeah, 100%. Cool. So we've gone social media. Let's go back to the community stuff.
Okay.
So we met for the first time in Scotland at the Scottish Summit. And what was that, last June, July? So that was my first in-person speaking event. And you was on the organisation committee, right?
Yeah.
So how did you kind of get started with the whole Scottish Summit bit and actually becoming part of the organising committee?
I don't know if you remember, but a while back, and they did that for this year as well, for next year. So actually, they asked the organizing team, the original organizing team from Scottish Summit, that is Mark and Ian. They decided they wanted to expand the team, and because the Scottish Summit was like escalating very quickly, they needed some support, and they asked that through social media, and I applied. And I wasn't positive that I was going to get selected because with all the amazing people we have in the community, why me? And I got there, and yeah, it's different because you leave the event on the other side. It's a bit stressful because you have like a lot of time of preparation, like you have maybe a year of preparation to make everything right, and it's sort of exhausting. But at the end of the day, when the event's finished and you go to the bar and have a beer with your friends, it's quite like, okay, we've done something right. It's a very rewarding experience.
Yeah, I mean, the Scottish Summit was awesome. I do think last year the Scottish Summit and then the South Coast Summit, they're both like highlights of the year by far. By far, we had a really really good time at kind of both events, and they're so different. I mean, you had the Scottish Summit, which was in the middle of the city centre, like lots of things to do in another country as well. So it was nice. It was really good. I'm hope there was some kind of inkling on LinkedIn earlier. I think they posted there might be one in 2023. So hopefully we'll get more information soon and get your call for speak, get your papers in and get them accepted, because it is an amazing event, and yeah, hopefully we'll be there again.
Yeah, I hope so. Scottish Summit. Southampton 2021 was my first experience in person speaking. It was fantastic, and last year it was not going to come because things, and then I decided like last week I decided I was going to go, and yeah, I'm not missing any like Southampton or or Scottish Summit. Never again. So yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome because I was talking to Zoe at the time and about the teams and the obviously pub quiz winners again. I have to mention it again, but I was talking to Zoe and I was like, "Oh, I thought Anna isn't coming," and she like, "She is coming." Then you got added back into the group chat and everything was good again. So yeah, it was
Exactly.
good to have you. It was good to have you there. As I said earlier, I was like, I don't think the pub quiz team would have been quite the same.
Yeah, that's the only reason why I went, because I wanted to win the pub quiz again. And we
Ah,
did.
yeah, and we got vouchers for the National Museum of Computing, didn't we?
Exactly. Yeah. I need to use
I still need to
those.
go. Yeah, so do I. I still need to go, but Milton Keynes is a bit out of the way for me. It's not every day I'm driving past Milton Keynes and think I need to go and do an escape room at the
Yeah.
National Museum of Computing, but I will do.
I
I
will
will
need
do it.
to, yeah. I cannot do that alone because I'm not, I'm thinking that that escape room may have a lot of technical things that I'm not capable of sorting. So yeah, let's see who from the group will join, and yeah, not going by myself because I'm going to stay there forever.
So what's the next event you're going to be at?
Next event is sorry, Tallinn. I'm going to Tallinn 9 and 10. I'm sorry.
Get a drink if you want.
Yeah, I have something here.
Or in your MVP cup.
Yes, of course. And I'm going to Tallinn for the event that Vivian Voss put together with a lot of love and effort. We're speaking with Yannick about power up cards. As you can see, I do pretty much all the topics, but yeah, we are speaking about that. So I'm going to Tallinn, in the next 2 weeks.
Is that Estonia?
Yeah, it
That
is.
one, yeah. Yeah, again, it's another one I forgot to put a speaker thing in for. But I think if I was traveling all the time, I don't think my wife would be very happy. I'd mentioned to you before, me, Luke Evans, and Jose are going to Vegas on the 29th of April,
Oh,
or the
it's not
30th of
like
April.
right now. Okay.
Yeah, Microsoft 365 conference in Vegas, the biggest Microsoft 365 conference in the world. We're doing a full day workshop. So me,
That's
Luke, and Jose,
fantastic.
as you know, it's going to be a full send. It's going to be good fun. So
Oh,
if
you're going
anyone's
to have a
listening to
lot
the
of fun.
podcast, yeah, if anyone's listening to the podcast and wants to come, you can sign up to our workshop. I think I've got a special code where you can get $50 off. So you can use that.
That is great. I mean, I thought, because you know that the Power Platform conference is in Vegas as well. But like I think it's sometime in November or so. So I was thinking about like the Microsoft conference being like September, October, but it's like right now.
Yeah, 100 days away, I think it is. So it is quite close. So it's not, probably about 97 days now, but yeah,
You're
it's getting
counting the
there.
days.
I am. I can't wait to go.
Like
And then I
easy.
come, and then when I come back, I think it's 3 weeks after I come back. I'm going to Florida with my family, so I'm doing that trip. Yeah, I'm doing that trip
Maybe you can
quite a few
stay there.
times.
You can stay in Vegas and
Uh,
then,
uh, yeah, I don't think my wife's gonna be too happy with
No,
that.
not at
I don't
all.
think she'll be too happy. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We've got a good schedule lining up this year. I think there's another Power Platform conference in Amsterdam, I believe.
Yes. I think that is in September or something like that, or October. I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have submitted for that one, and my good friend Femke, she announced
Yeah.
yesterday. What did she announce yesterday? Experts Live in Holland.
Yep. As well. Yeah.
So
She sent me I need to submit to that one as well.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'll be nice one to go to. Experts Live in Netherlands. So that'd be a decent evening party after.
Yeah, it's going to.
So
Yeah, we're going
do
to
you
have a lot
qualify?
of fun. Going to. Oh,
Do you
sorry, what?
qualify all conference? Do you qualify all conferences of how good the night out will be after?
I'm sorry, what?
I said, do you qualify every conference you go to by how good the night after will
Oh,
be?
yes. Yeah, the thing is that you know that I don't drink, so for me it's fun and up to a certain moment. When everyone's trying to, to speak another language or to do something different or to get in trouble, that's the moment when I say, okay, I'm out. But yeah, I can qualify, and I'm the only one who remembers. So that's a card.
To be fair, I'm quite like that as well. I get to a certain point and then I'm like, I'm going home. I'm going back to the hotel now. I'm not like Jose, Zoe, and the others, and who will stay up all night. No, I get to a point where I just want to go to bed.
Yeah,
And
of course. And
yeah,
you're tired because people think that if you're in the conference, it's like holiday, and not at all. You wake up really early. You go to bed like really like later in the night, and yeah, you're exhausted, and you come back home and you need like a week to recover. So
hmm
last conference, Southampton, we were Southampton was the last one. Yeah, it was that
yes,
in
it was. Yeah.
person. Jose and myself, Luke was trying to speak Spanish, and Jose and I, we were speaking Spanish, like actually Spanish, and laughing at Luke because he tried. He was asking where's the library, and like no one cares where's the library. So yeah, we were. Yeah,
That
no, it was really fun.
yeah, it sounds like something would happen. Yeah, and it actually kind of mentioned the post hangover from a conference is like no other. Like not not even a hangover because of alcohol. It's just like the amount of time and effort you put into the lead up,
Yeah.
getting your event, getting your session ready. The South Coast Summit. I think I done a workshop on a Friday, which was a full day workshop.
Mm-hmm.
On the Saturday, I spoke 3 times. I done a Windows 365 as AVD talk. I done the Women in Tech talk, round table, and then I done one with Jose and Luke as well, followed by a pub quiz, followed by dinner and all that type of stuff. By Sunday and Monday, I was wiped out.
Now you're dead. I mean, I I used to travel back home on Sundays, but now I try to like Sunday night, like not night, but afternoon and evening. And somehow I decided that if I can leave on Saturday because nothing's happened the day after, I prefer that because I need at least a day to rest, at least. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I remember walking in, bumping into you into the airport up in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So that was an early one. I can see a lot of people from the conference very hungover that day.
Yeah, exactly. We had, yeah, actually, for Scottish Summit, we came back home like very early. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I had problems with the flights that weekend where all my flights were cancelled from Glasgow, so I had to wake up early in the morning to get to another airport down in London because everything got cancelled, which was
Yes.
great fun.
So
Yeah.
actually, hold on. You travel by plane because your train got cancelled, or
No, so I
you?
was going
Oh,
from Glasgow. Yeah, I was going from Glasgow, but all of my flights from Glasgow got cancelled. So then I
so
had to
you went to
travel
Edinburgh.
from Glasgow to Edinburgh and Edinburgh down to London. But then, um, yeah, it was just long.
It
It
was,
wasn't the
yeah, it
best of
is
experiences.
exhausting.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
is.
So what's next for you anyway? So obviously you're doing that event. I can't remember the name of it. You're doing that event coming up soon. So what's next for you? What's next for Anna in terms of career movement and what do you want to do next?
It's a very good question. Thank you, John, for putting me in this spot. No, that's okay. Actually, I am well, I'm a Dynamics HR practice lead, so I'm trying to grow the team and learn more about the implementations and trying. Unfortunately, I need to learn a bit more about finance, which I hate. And but you know, it's part of my role. So that in terms of career, and then in terms of community, I don't know. I'm expecting. So actually, I'm involved in 3 organizing committees. I don't know how I'm going to make that work with my life and with my, you know, everything. But yes, I'm expecting 2023 to be a very exciting year in terms of development, in terms of engagement, community. I actually want to help a bit more to like the Microsoft product team on Dynamics HR. I want to help them, and exchanging with them is one of the things that I really love. So I hope to have like a more in-depth relationship. We already are very close, and we speak a bit more, and make sure Microsoft products are achieving what we need in the HR market. So that's my plan. Let's see how it goes. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's once you get that MVP status, is it easier to engage with the product teams?
I think so. I'm quite straightforward. I don't know if you know that, but if I see someone and if I want to speak to you, it doesn't matter if you're Satya or a colleague, I will always reach out directly. I'm very, very straightforward. And I think I started engaging with the HR team a bit earlier than my MVP award, because I was working in a company that provides services to Microsoft, like the same product team. And
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it gives you it helps you. I think it may be an advantage, maybe.
Yeah, sure. Okay, cool. So I've got 2 questions to kind of end this podcast on.
Okay.
Would you like to give me like can you give me an example, like a really bad kind of experience that you've had whilst working within the IT industry? It could be absolutely anything.
Okay. That's the first. It's only one question. Okay, I was expecting a second one.
It's gonna come after the second. It's gonna come after this one.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that it was really uncomfortable for me, and it will always be, and I try to advocate for that not to happen ever again, is I'm a woman, I'm Latina, so I can sound passionate and aggressive at some points. But the thing is that when I am speaking for myself in a meeting or in a customer situation, if I speak for myself, if I share that something is not right, I want to be respected, and I want the people out there to actually listen to the words that I'm saying, not at the attitude I'm having. So I was, I was tagged with being aggressive or being too, I don't know, too passionate, and the thing is that doesn't happen to men. So if someone sees that you, John, are actually sharing very passionately your point, defending your point of view, no one is going to say that you're aggressive. They're going to say you're passionate. And I learned this from Zoe. Yeah, but I have to face that a couple of times, and I reached the point where I know that what I'm sharing is actually right. If they're not capable of listening to the words and they're focusing on how I'm saying things, it's not my problem. So
No, it's
that's
not.
how I
No, I
covered
mean,
it.
I've heard you and Zoe say that quite a few times, to be fair, over the past year or two, and yeah, I completely agree with you. But I think it's just how idiots kind of see things. When you say things and you get passionate about it, like you, Zoe, Donna, like all people that are quite are really quite forthcoming with your points of view and stuff. It's, for me, it helps me get behind you even more, if you get what I mean, like, and not the other way around. But I think that's just due to my attitude and how I am as well, to be fair. I don't know if you've done much in terms of profiling of people. I know you work in HR, but have you heard of like Insights or DISC or anything like that before? So it's a profiling thing that people use within occupational development, where you kind of see who you are, what type of person you are, how you handle other people and stuff like that. So I do as I said, my wife is in HR. She does the occupational development side of things at the moment. She works within something called Insights, and it's all about kind of how you are, what type of person you are. Are you influential? Are you kind of more like earthly? Are you more kind of like someone who doesn't like to give their opinion out, but they'll hold back and they'll reserve judgment, and then they'll bring everything in, then they'll make a decision? Or are you one of those people who are just like straight away, I want results and that type? And so you get to understand yourself a lot more doing these type of things, but you actually get to understand how to deal with other people. And I think kind of you and I are probably on that same profile thing. So I think that helps me identify with yourself a lot more, and the way that you speak and how passionate you are and stuff like that. So that kind of helps with that. And I thought you were going to say bad experience was going to be seeing Luke in getting changed in Scotland, but you know, but you know, we'll go on to the next question now. It's kind of, just tell me your best experience. Like, if you've gone bad, what's your absolute best experience, the best thing within the community and stuff like that?
My best experience ever was when I wasn't even like known in the community, and I reached out to Gabriela Schuster. Do you know her?
Who's that, sorry?
Gabriela Schuster. So Gabriela used to be part of Satya's team. She was in charge of the partner like relationships with partners worldwide. She's a psychologist, and during pandemic, I remember sending her a message and asking for mentoring, and she agreed. So we had a mentoring session, and that was like a highlight because she gave me a lot of insights on how to move into my career and how to handle the team and how to make things actually work. So I love that. She's fantastic. And of course, there are some other very nice experiences, as getting to know Donna in person and creating a very interesting like network across Europe and the States as well. So, you know, there are a lot of highlights. So for every bad experience, you have at least 10 good experiences. So
yeah, when I'm doing this podcast, although it's like, you know, we've got lots of like really important topics to talk about. I mean, this like hour's been like talking to a friend for me, so it's been a bit different to some ones we do. But it's always good to highlight, you know, some things that have been quite bad, and also the really good things that come out of it as well. So it's been a pleasure talking to you once again, and we'll see you. I'll see you soon.
Yes, we'll see soon. Hold on. We'll see ourselves soon. How do you say it? Like, when, I don't know. I think in Spanish, so it's difficult. Yeah, but hopefully we will catch up in any event soon. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure, even though I kind of invited myself. But
I've been telling Andrew to have you on for a while. To be fair, I think it was after Scotland, and then again after the South Coast Summit. But I think by the time we got to the South Coast Summit in October, I think we'd already scheduled up like most of the year already. So yeah, 2023, great to have you on as our first guest. And if anyone that's watching, or even anyone that's listening on Spotify, YouTube, and all of that type of stuff, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Microsoft Spotlight podcast. Please make make sure you hit that like, share and subscribe button to help us promote our message. You can also follow us on Twitter at MSFT Spotlight, and we're also on LinkedIn, the Microsoft Spotlight Podcast. And finally, we'd like to tell you a little bit about Pitt Titan and thank them for sponsoring this podcast.
Remote migrations start here. Let Migration Wiz do the work for you. It's fast, secure, and 100% SaaS, which means you can migrate at any time and from anywhere. Migrate mailboxes, documents, public folders, personal archives, or even Microsoft Teams with just a few clicks. No special training needed and no customer downtime. When the work matters, choose Migration Wiz.